You guys look like you're in an official conference room setting there.
Yeah.
We have things to say.
Yeah, we're gonna lay some people off.
I'm
We're
gonna
at an
go.
undisclosed location in Cambridge.
I'm gonna go a little out of order because I usually start with the beginning, but I want to start with the psychedelic furs because I just got that
Okay,
message
cool.
about the furs and I was listening and I love the psychedelic furs. I remember one time I can't remember the manager's name, but there was a manager that we were working with to reissue these Hanoi Rocks records, and we went to meet him in a bar in LA, and there's someone there sitting with him, and I'm like, it's Richard Butler. So I got to meet Richard Butler and hang out with him, and I was very starstruck because I just love the Furs. Just wanted to mention that.
They were great. Him and Love Spit Love are both. They both had great songs, and his voice is so iconic. So it's definitely a pleasure to do that song.
It was during the Love Spit Love era that I actually met him because it was like 91 or something like that. And I think he had just started that band, if I'm not
Uh,
mistaken. I could be wrong. So, Mike, I know about your background in JC from Thrust Club, but I don't know much about you, Sam. I mean, did you play in
Yeah.
other bands before you formed Astral Bitch?
Uh,
Tell us a little about yourself.
yeah. My first Boston band, which is actually a mutual bandmate of JC, was called Sleep Crimes. That was a four-piece Riot Doom band. Riot Girl influences, and then like Stoner Doom, heavy Sabbath riffs on top of that. A cool melding of worlds. And that was for maybe like 3 years, I think, about mostly local to Boston. Um, and that band, I think we put out like a few things in the studio, but mostly focused on live work at the time. And then after that, I kind of bounced around to a few different projects. Candy Miami, which featured um, Travis and Jim, who used to play in Fat Creeps, if you remember that band. Um, and Lyra from Sweeping Promises was also in the band. So it was kind of like an amalgamation of music friends. And that was mainly an improvisational live act. It's kind of hard to call it a jam band per se, because I know that's a loaded term. But that was a ton of fun. After that was in kind of a progressive math rocky band called Scream Castle, played bass in that for a bit. And then did a few different Halloween cover bands with friends over the years, and I just really wanted another originals project, and that's sort of how Astral Bitch came about. And then that's how I met Nash.
Are you from
And
the
then
Boston area originally?
No, I grew up around Philadelphia. I came up to Boston around 2006 for school. Went to Northeastern for music and kind of just stayed. Wasn't originally the plan. Thought I would probably end up going back to Philly, or New York, and doing music stuff there, but fell into tech marketing in a weird way. And just kept getting jobs that helped me kind of focus on music more from a creative standpoint rather than this is something I have to do to live. And now that those tables have been sort of flipped, where I really focus more on music and then a little bit on community management for open source software and technology companies.
So you knew
you know,
JC before because you played together. How did you meet Nash?
How did I meet Nash? Well, I was kind of originally the last person in Astral Bitch to come on. We had two other members before who knew him through his other projects over the years. And I only knew of Nash through his work at the EMF radio station before.
Oh
He was
yeah.
actually on a radio station that interviewed my first band at the time. But we never really crossed paths until the project. And then we became the best of buds and songwriting partners, and we're having a blast.
Cool. Yeah, I know the first recordings that you put out before JC was in the band was around March 2023.
Yeah.
Um, and then you had the lineup change. Was it right after? What was that original lineup together for a little while?
Yeah, about a year.
Yeah, not too much, a little under a year.
Yeah. But I mean, anybody who's been in a band long enough, people got different schedules, lives, life issues, and it just sadly didn't really work out. And then, we brought JC on board and kind of reformatted as a power trio, and it's been working out real friggin' well. And yeah, it was actually Astral Bitch is actually my first time fronting an originals band. So the first year of the band, I was really learning how to sing and play guitar at the same time. And now I sing, play guitar, and I handle the lead guitar parts and such. And it's a whole lot of freaking fun. Yeah.
So in your previous bands, you didn't front the bands?
No, it's strictly either a guitarist or a bassist. Yeah.
Cool. Um, I know you have like only a few releases out right now, a few singles out. What's the songwriting process? I think you mentioned you and Nash work together on the songs. Is the all three of you work
Yeah.
together?
Yeah, we're pretty collaborative, and we've also been, taking this time. We've been taking kind of a little bit of a winter break and writing and trying different things and different starting points for songs. Historically, a lot of it was I'd come in with a demo that would just be me playing rhythm guitar and singing most of the lyrics, and so I would pretty much go to the band with about 60 to 70% of a song idea done. Maybe we need to figure out an intro, an outro, or a bridge together. And it's like I pretty much just historically came to a skeleton. But some of the more recent songwriting efforts have come more from jams we've done collectively. We'll kind of go back and listen to them and kind of take bits and pieces. And we've also been working on one song that this guy here, Mike Nash, wrote. That's a lot of fun. And it was the first time somebody came to me with lyrics that was like, sing these. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that was a ton of fun just having a different starting point for a song and letting Nash kind of take the wheel on structure and lyrics.
Yeah, it
Wow.
opens the door to possibilities, you know what I'm saying? So like, have obviously we both come from a improvisational jamming background. When you get together with your buddies, you have like just a jam session. Who cares what the results are? It's more about the fun. So we have that atmosphere, and then of course some of us we've been coming to the table with skeletons of cloth things just to have multiple ways to have more songs because there's more than one way to skin a song.
Did you have you written lyrics before, Mike?
I almost every band I've ever been in, I've tried to write stuff for. I'm more of the collaborative. Like I want everyone to enjoy it. The rule of like if you don't like it, throw it away. If one person doesn't like it, excuse me, throw it away. With my songs, but every band I've been in, I've come to the table with multiple songs or just lyrics or. I have I don't play an instrument, but I can sure mouth a mean guitar riff, and stuff like that versus just like being able to like building the relationship. It takes a little bit longer with sometimes it doesn't. So to know if my songs are going to work with that person type of thing. So it's
What
nice.
really got my attention, and when I contacted you and I played the song on my show, was "Haunting You." Talk about that track a little bit and how that came together.
Yeah, I think in terms of like the first year of the band, that was a song that might have been like the third or fourth one I
It was
wrote.
early. It was
Yeah,
an early track, but it's
it was
adapted.
early. And we wanted to wait. I wanted to personally wait a while to record it just because I didn't feel confident enough in how I wanted that vocal to be. And it's this song that's really about taking these big chances in life and having a good group of people behind you and just kind of going for it. Um, you know, I think Vicky from Vanyaland like kind of compared it to the Lady Gaga thing. It's only, as long as one person in that room believes in you, you can make anything happen. And it's corny, but it's really true. And so that was the first track worked on in the studio with JC. And it just kind of took on its whole new meaning. Because Jason and I had known each other for years and years and years, and this is like our first time doing like a totally net new kind of project together. And um, kind of in the middle of the history of the band, we went through a lot of like, really heavy life stuff. I lost my best friend, and Nash had some really rough, tough health issues. So us coming together for that song and just kind of believing each other and having fun and going out to Western Mass and just having a day in the studio together to just like really pound this through. And that song we've been kind of working on live for over a year, and it was always someone that people like, what was that song? What was that song? Like, I think we got to get this one out next. And I thought it was an awesome introduction to where we were as a band, where I was as a singer, JC coming on as a bassist. And then Nash also kind of taking more of a producer role when we're in the studio.
If you can imagine.
Yeah, because I'm always like this little fountain of ideas, and I need some reining in and sometimes, and I usually trust these two to have the voice of reason and figure out, all right, this is the take and things like that.
Actually, I went a little out of order, which is typical for me. Before we talk about the East Hampton recording and all that, talk about
Yeah.
how you recruited JC into the mix.
Well, we threw, fire and water into the ground, and out came JC. No, JC's been, we've known JC as Sam just said, they've known JC longer as a friend thing, but JC's known into the music community as a player, as someone around, and just to have, I don't know how every band is, but me personally, I like to be able to get along with everyone. So like, it was nice to know that the mentality is equal and we can get along, and that's a major part, the hang test, if you will, you can hang out with each other. That's a major part. And I am newer to hanging out with JC, but I always knew of JC and the bands that JC was in before and whatever. So
yeah, we like ran in the same circles and somehow didn't meet until Sam asked me to join the band, pending you liking me was the whole thing.
Yeah, they both did like one night band together and things like that, and just kind of ships in the night for years. And it's like, how do you not know each other?
So it works out. And, it's the songs were coming so fast that we like, and the health issues that I had and things, I had to take a little bit of a break away from my instrument. And if anyone knows me, that kills me more than having any kind of health issues. But when we got back, it was like I wanted to just go full throttle, and JC was there to kind of just be there to accept that role and do it. So it was like, all full speed ahead type of thing,
Yeah, as a three-piece, the rhythm section really needs to, lock in together. How did that come together for you, JC, as far as playing with Mike, who's a powerhouse drummer?
I've just been learning so much this last year being in the band with both of them. So we joke at practice that they take me to jam school. They'll just start improvising, and I'm like standing there like, oh, I guess I should play something too. Like, and I'm not as comfortable with the improv as they are. So it's kind of a learning curve for me, but it's been a lot of fun. Just being able to do that.
It's also funny, like this is actually a band of drummers.
Yeah.
So we have like we always kind of like start with cool rhythmic foundation, and then usually the two of us battle it out, and she's the anchor. I'm a huge fan of The Who, and so like having that kind of anchoring bass point when you have a drummer and guitarist just kind of duke it out all the time. It's something special. But you're getting there. Yeah.
We're going to go back to The Who in a second, but let me talk about, let me bring up East Hampton again. How did you end up out there to record? Because Rock Valley Studios is where you recorded. Do you have roots out in Western Mass?
I do kind of. One of my older bands used to play out there quite a bit, and we just kind of build like, they have a very, very powerful music scene out there of real music listeners. And it's super non-judgmental. Like people would mock the Boston music scene about people standing there with their arms crossed, kind of like whatever. Out there, people get up front they're toasting in the air. They're just trying to learn the lyrics. Like it's a really passionate music scene, and it drove me to continue to want to go out there. And over the years, this gentleman Robo, who runs Rock Valley Studios, and he does a lot of live sound out there called Robo Sound. But his band has a giant rehearsal space he bought because he knew that he wanted to continue to do this thing, and he's really into passionate about getting into recording more. And you know, the metal engineer Zeus just worked out of there a lot. Did a lot of the latest Anthrax stuff, the latest Kill Switch Engage and Shadows Fall kind of stuff has been recorded there. So I knew the room was solid enough to at least get good takes. And it's as you've been out to you go to the record stores and stuff out that way. It's more relaxed. There's just something about the air, and it's like kind of like gives you that like when you're in a studio, there's a schedule, your time, you're paying for your time. And like there's almost a rush, like you can almost skip over some details, and it was so much more relaxed and easier to record. And having JC be new to our process, that relaxation helped so much, and
Yeah.
going out there made it just all the more. It was good.
Yeah,
Highly recommend Rock Valley Studios.
I think you and I have talked about Northampton before. I really love it out there. I do go out there a lot. And all those bands you mentioned, those Western Mass bands, there's a lot has happened out there uh, over the years. Sam, you mentioned The Who. I was going to ask you guys about your particular music influences or artists that kind of shaped your sound. Talk about that a little bit, all of you. I kind of know
Yeah.
some of Mike's favorite
Yeah,
bands.
I mean,
Go
like,
ahead.
so when I was just learning guitar, I kind of fell into this weird, I think a lot of people do, especially when they're learning guitar or drums, like this sort of classic rock hole. And this was the time when like new metal was super popular, and I just kind of stopped listening to a lot of modern music until like the White Stripes and like the Rapture, and then like more dance punk stuff came about. But like when I was just learning guitar, I got kind of bored just kind of learning the pop punk songs that my little kid self loved. And really, I don't know, the first time I heard Tommy, so something really clicked with me. And there was just like one summer, I'm like, I'm gonna learn all of Tommy on guitar, like the whole friggin' thing.
Wow.
That's kind of what I did. I didn't have anything else to do out in the woods, but learn to play guitar and get my like 10,000 hours that you got to do to really get good at anything. But yeah, some other influences, you know, early sleep crime stuff. We say it was like Riot Girl Attitude, but Gossip has always been a huge influence. Also on JC. JC was actually, I think, you played bass in a Gossip cover band one year too.
Jealous Girls.
Jealous Girls. Yeah. But I also adore Beth Ditto's voice. I think it's, in terms of vocals, way up there. Screaming Females, Oswell, Merce Paternoster, one of my favorite guitarists and singers, somebody that can shred and sing at the same time. There is a guitarist, Wendy Eisenberg, that kind of reminds me a little bit about how you can just kind of go for it and sing to the heavens, and that always just amazed me in terms of musicality. Who else? Just, oh God, the list is very long.
Yeah, we're all
It's,
music listeners,
yeah,
and we all grew up listening to everything. But as far as the band, I would say like kind of 80s Soundgarden, like the Fop and Screaming Life type stuff. I would say the earlier Sonic Youth stuff,
the
the
Breeders,
Breeders,
way up
kind of
there.
all that. Screaming Females, uh, you know, there's so many bands. I mean, my grunge stuff was
Yeah,
like, Alice in Chains and stuff in bands like that, Soundgarden and Nirvana and things like that. And obviously, those are huge influential bands to like anyone similar to a Zeppelin or a Sabbath. But uh, you know, there's so many.
yeah.
And like recently, we've been really into the King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. We've been really into psychedelic porn crumpets. We've been really into this big psychedelic resurgence, and the Murlocs and all these bands like that. And there's just so many.
Yeah,
You
Death
know?
Valley Girls, LA Witch,
Yeah.
Yeah.
things that are sort of like darker psychedelic garage.
I love
You know
those
all.
West Coast
Yeah.
band. Death Valley Girls is huge. I've been friends with Bonnie for a while. They're really, really good band. Um, JC, what about you? You've played in a ton of bands, apparently.
Um, I don't know. I think for me, for playing bass, Mike Dirnt from Green Day has been a huge
Oh,
influence. It's the reason I wanted to play bass, and like when I was 14, like that was their heyday. Like Dookie came out, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So, and then I don't know. I don't want to repeat the list of bands we
Yeah.
just went through, but most of those I agree with. Yes.
You've been digging the Crumbin lately.
I
Some
have
chiller,
been.
some
I'm like,
chiller
I'm on the
vibes.
chiller, like it's good music to cook to.
Yeah. Cooking with Crumbin.
that's important. That's important. I was cooking the Slater Kinney the other day, and it actually worked
Oh,
out
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, Has it been, so it seems like it's been easy for you guys to balance your creative differences as a band.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not too many arguments about the music itself,
No,
really.
I mean like Sam might make fun of me for liking Tool once in a while, but I make fun of Sam for liking the Deftones, you know? It's like it's the same thing.
What can you do?
It's all music, it's all good, you know, everybody can a good song is a good song, you know, and you know all about that. So it's like it comes down to if I see someone passionate about something, I'm gonna cherish that passion. I might not like the song or the artist or whatever, but I at least appreciate someone loving music, no matter what it is.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
talking to Lee Harrington recently from Shanghai Lows Neighborhoods, and he said something really good. He said, it doesn't really matter what genre it is, it's all about the song for me. And I find there's a lot of people like that. Some people don't want to get into different genres and they just stick to their own, but a good song is a good song, basically. So I get that. Um, what's the vision for the band moving forward? Do you guys have like specific goals? I imagine you're probably talking about making a longer record at some point.
Yeah, a longer release. Definitely something we're thinking about. Right now we're just working on the catalog, so we can have some things to choose from, and we also like to play things out live a little bit before committing to recording them. But we might flip that script coming up and really just focus on the songwriting. The cover project we just did for the Psychedelic Furs Pretty in Pink. That's part of a compilation. That was our first time like completely self-recording, self-engineering, self-producing, and just putting it out there. And that workflow was actually pretty interesting for us because we all kind of did our parts remotely.
Oh, wow.
Um,
It came out great.
yeah. We weren't sure how it would pan out at all. Also on top of that, I just got a new puppy, so I'm trying to like record vocals between her barking and things like that at home. So that also was an interesting challenge.
How
But it
big
was
is the
actually fun.
catalog? Oh, sorry. How big is the catalog you're talking about that you have right now?
I mean, we're working on like we have about 10 or 12 songs that we've like got have been working on, but like I challenged us to like a 2025 challenge of like let's write at least 10 to 12 newer songs. You know how it is, like some bands try to write more songs so you can have like throwaway tunes for to make the record more cohesive or whatever. So we have like a band's challenge within each other to kind of write as many songs as we can and just to keep that flow going. So, I mean, the catalog is hope. I mean, right now we have enough to record a full length, but again, it's like some songs are very different than others.
Yeah.
We're the stuff that we've been writing. Even we jammed yesterday and possibly wrote another new one. Like, there's it's 2020. The beginning half of this year is more about just writing. So I don't want to. We have a decent number right now we could put out, but I don't want to like limit that, if you will. I
Yeah.
want to keep the songs coming.
And we also, we're trying to play out more regionally, in the Northeast this year. So probably some later dates from us out of state, you can probably expect. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty tough to like try to piece together a tour and self-fund it. None of us are really Nepo babies or anything. And also everyone right now is losing a lot of money on touring. So we want to
Yeah.
be really careful when we venture out of the confines of Boston. But we love anywhere in New England is, we're down to go to pretty much. The stars just got to align right.
If you played a lot in if you played like in Maine and New Hampshire, Vermont, the other
And
states,
we've done New Hampshire and Rhode
So
Island.
New Hampshire, Rhode Island, all over Mass, Connecticut. You know, I've been working with some people in New York, trying to get a couple of New York shows and Brooklyn shows. And just, it's like with the winter and we had this challenge to write music. So it's like, it's shows get offered to us quite a bit. We love that we're kind of part of that. The Boston music scene always is like inclusive. It's like, hey, we have this opening date, whatever. But like, we're being a little more selective because, we want to write better tunes, more tunes, and put out a full length at some point. So
Yeah.
we are
and
playing that Moonbase one in Salem. It's this new all ages like sober space coming up at the end of
yeah,
March, which is very cool. So we're
Yeah.
excited to get involved with them. That's part of that compilation that we were talking about, is to kind of raise money for them.
Yeah. It's called Now That's What I Call Heartache Volume 7, Songs from the Movies. Check it out on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
yeah. I just
But
found
yeah,
out about that whole moon thing just within a day or so. Because
it's
I
pretty
saw
cool.
you. Yeah,
We did a festival with them, the same organizers in September. It's called Moon Over Salem, and it was in early to mid-September this 2024. And we got to play in the movie theater, the Salem Cinema, and there was like just all different bands from all different genres playing all over Salem that day. And I think they're just trying. The Salem music scene has also been booming a lot, and people,
Yeah, the North Shore in general is a lot of great musicians up there.
so it's nice that they're having a space be open that's for everyone. It's all inclusive. Like the Moon is a very LGBTQ plus fundraising community and everything. So it's like very open and everyone's welcome. And it's we're very proud to support it because it's the future of.
Yeah. We're happy to do all ages shows in general here. I think that's one of the things from coming from Philly to Boston that really shocked me, because as a high schooler, I went to tons and tons of shows as a kid. And up in Boston, it's hard to find anything that's, not 18 plus or 21 plus. Even when I was in Northeastern, there was a lot of stuff I just couldn't go to because I wasn't 21 yet for a while. So being able to do all ages shows where people can bring their kids, or high schoolers can come and like get influenced by music, and in a place that just isn't a bar all the time, is something awesome. And we're happy to be raising money for it and being one of like the first couple months of shows out there.
yeah. There used to be a lot of all ages venues, but I think the bars, you mentioned the word bar, they get greedy. They want to make money. They want people to come in and drink. But I love what you're talking about, this place in Salem. I think Salem's a fantastic place right now to go and see music. How do you guys handle the business side of things, like booking and marketing your music? And do you divide it up, or is there? I imagine
Yeah.
Mike Nash must have a lot to do with the business part of things, I would
So,
imagine.
well, Sam has a professional music background from school. I have my background with radio and everything. So we have our system. We have little meetings and things like that. We try to be as, get our ducks in a row before we send them out into the water type of situation. But most of it, all three of us have duties. We're not militant about it, but like we enjoy it. I think that's another part which makes the band work. Is like some bands, there's always that one person that kind of does it all, and that frustrates that one person. And I feel like this band has all three of us like to do certain things, and it's okay to be like, Sam will take care of that, Mike will take care of that, Chase. It's very diplomatic that way, and we enjoy it.
That
In
works.
2025, yeah, you got to do the internet thing, you got to do the promotion thing. You're not, it's different. So we like to change and adapt.
That's good. It's good that everyone participates. Do you find it difficult to juggle with the band and other commitments that you guys have? I know we were talking about a new puppy and stuff like that. I mean, is it like, well, because you guys probably all have
Yeah.
jobs too, right?
Yeah, we all work.
Yep. Got the day jobs. Yeah, I don't it I am always on my calendar making sure I know what day it is. 'Cause
Yeah.
I between this band and Thrust Club and day job, and yeah, it gets it gets very busy very quickly.
You just try to plan things out months ahead as much as you can, and if things fall in your lap, you just see who's available. If you are, you are. You're not, you're not.
Yeah.
You can't really like get super stressed out about missing something or doing whatever.
Yeah, or even it's like, hey, I want to go to this show and it's on our practice night, and it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Pick another night to practice. If you go live your life, go get in, like, do the things that make you happy and human and whole.
We have a good work-life balance,
Yeah, I think we figured it out.
Do
And then
you
we always prioritize like health and mental health, the crowd, and check in with each other and stuff. So
Yeah.
That's good. What's your rehearsal space situation like?
We're at Studio 52 in Alston.
Oh,
We practice there Tuesdays. If anyone wants to stop by with free food, we like to eat. Yeah, we practice once or twice a week when we're writing stuff and we have a good idea that we like. Sam and I might get together a little bit more, depending on the situation. It's pretty open. It's based around the fun aspect of it all. So if we have a weekly rehearsal, but if we're doing something a little more exciting, like we got to open for Earthless and bands like that. When a show like that comes on, we want to get a little more prepared and seem act a little more, as a tighter band, just practice more and be, to get the set down and all that.
Since you brought up food in Alston, I wouldn't have brought that, but you brought it up. There used to be a place right up around the corner from Studio 52, like a real healthy place. And I went in there one time, and Danny Ainge and Austin
Oh,
Ainge
wow.
were in there. And I started talking to Danny and asking about trades, but he was just like, "Don't bother me, I'm eating." But you made me think of that. It's up around the
That's all right.
corner. There's I don't know if you guys remember the greenhouse used to be on that corner, Richard Marr's old
I-
place. It's now a skyscraper or whatever.
oh
That
yeah.
neighborhood has changed. I thought they were going to
Yeah,
rip that.
there's a lot of bad blood between musicians and developers in Austin these
Yeah.
days. They knocked down a whole practice space to build lab space, but oh wait, they're not building it now.
Yeah, now they don't need lab space.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah, well, there was the one big rehearsal space down the road. I mean, I used to be there a lot, and that place is gone. I drove by there, and there was nothing there. I thought they were going to rip down the Studio 52 building. Weren't they going to take that down at one point?
Oh yeah, they kicked everybody out.
We all got forced to move out, and then a couple of years later, they were like, "Just kidding, come back." I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Some buildings I think they thought something was going to happen, so they preemptively asked their tenants to move out because I think that was going to be a long process, and it just turned out that
Yeah.
we love our space, and we're very happy to have one because for a while there wasn't one.
Yeah, it's a good
So-
location too. So, I mean, definitely.
We're hoping to do some more like live streaming and stuff in there, and video stuff, and
Yeah.
invite friends over to play with Astral Bitch, and have it be more of this kind of like extension community of us and our music events.
Yeah.
To hang.
Things have really changed in the music. Yeah, I've been in the business for a long time. I know Mike has been in the business for a long time too, but I'm a lot older than him. But but I've seen so many changes in everything, and the practice space things become a problem. What do you think about the scene now and what you have to do to stand out in it? Do you think it's a good scene, or do you think it's a divided scene? The Boston scene,
I don't
I
think
mean.
I mean, Boston was always known in like the aughts and like the 010s, whatever the hell you want to call it, as kind of like clingy and kind of like, different groups or whatever. I feel like it's much more open now. I feel like the internet and with the certain amount of clubs that are left to play for local venue for local spots, because like obviously we can't Roadrunner and those size venues we can't be filling up. But like I feel like there's a more of a camaraderie going on than there has been in the past 10 years or so. And I feel like people are just a little more supportive because I think people kind of gave up on the not pretense, but the idea that somebody was more popular or whatever. I think people kind of just don't care as much anymore because like everyone, like, some of our favorite local bands have been around forever and they're still putting out records, but then there's brand new ones that get formed and we're like, oh, have you heard this? This is amazing. Like it's just it's so vast. There's so many styles. It's almost like super inclusive again, which is very nice.
Yeah.
And I think people got sick of like, I don't just want to go to a punk or metal or whatever show. I want to mix genres. And, I think
I love
I
that.
feel I do too. I feel like it's a little more open. I feel like people are more willing to try things, mix metal with hip hop or whatever, not to sound ridiculous, but there's there's a lot more open because I remember at my radio station there was a lot of like, oh, I don't like that band because blah 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 said something. It was like, did you listen judge them by the music or did you judge them by who they were? And I think a lot more people are just forgetting that hierarchy of popularity, if you will, and kind of just getting back to liking the music or not, which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice. Is there bands that stand out in the city now that you guys like?
Oh yeah, Talk Chalk.
Oh, I love Talk Shop.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Salem's got some airs. I like the
Yeah.
Freaks. I like the
Mhm.
Endorphins are
Endorphins,
fun.
yeah.
Miracle Blood.
Miracle
Yeah.
Blood's doing really well.
Um,
Zip Tie Handcuffs, I always love them. Dwelly just released their record. They're
Oh, that
doing
was really
great. Sapling's doing their thing. There's so many. There's a lot. Even look at that compilation that we're just part of that we're talking about. There's like even some of those people are there's some of those are just demos and take it for what it's worth. But they're all Tiffy and all these people are putting out music and it's like these artists are everyone's doing something and it's like kind of refreshing because it's new. Not everyone's there's not just every band. Here's 6 stoner rock bands. Here's 5 metal bands or whatever. It's everyone's kind of mixing and doing newer things. And there's a lot of it, which
That's
is
cool.
nice.
That's cool. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, let's get back to that Psychedelic Furs comp. How did you guys get involved in that, and what made you pick the song that you picked, which is one of the big
yes.
hits?
So Andrea from MK Naomi, great band, by the way. She's been organizing these cover compilations every year, and there's a different theme and a different cause behind them all the time. And this year's cause was Moonbase One in Salem and songs from the movies. And for some reason, Pretty in Pink was the first thing. I was like, oh yeah, well the song was the movie title, and everybody loves that song. And I don't think anybody would expect this from us. So like what would be like the Astral Bitch take on this, 80s new wave classic sound like? And it was an opportunity for us to just, self-record, produce, engineer something. And it was actually, I think, my first keys credit too. I got to play some of the organ parts, which were a lot of fun. So yeah, I think it came out pretty decent for
Yeah, it
just kind
did.
of weighing ourselves and we'll play it live if people earn it. You gotta freaking earn it. We're not just gonna like do psychedelic first week. Um so yeah, no, just a ton of fun. And also like making creative decisions. It's like, do I want to try to mimic an accent or not? And I kind of cut the difference between them and uh, yeah, it's a freaking classic movie song, and it's funny because the way that whole film came about was Molly Ringwald just really liked the song, and John Hughes was like, "Sure, I'll write a song or write a movie for you called Pretty in Pink," which has
Oh,
nothing to do with what the song is about. The song's actually very like Mean Girls-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's a great song, and when we were sitting at a bar, we were talking about like what covers would we do, like joking around, and Sam kind of mentioned like, oh, there's this cover compilation that we got offered. Would you want to do a song from a soundtrack? I was like, yes, like that'd be fun. And Sam immediately was like, I thought about Pretty in Pink, and then right as they said, I was like, yep.
yeah, I originally thought I was just gonna do this like acoustic because we're in this kind of like time frame, like we need to be focusing on our music. But this is actually a really fun project for us, and a good cause to be part of as
Yeah.
well.
okay.
It's
I thought
fun.
it
It's
was
like
going to be a Psych Furs compilation, but you're saying it's a movie soundtrack. Do you know any
yeah,
of
it's
the other?
Yeah, songs from the movies. I think Tiffy does Love Fool.
the Cardigans love fools. There's someone does the something from Twin Peaks. Someone does,
Interesting.
there's some of these songs are just one member of a band and they're just like they're doing the let's because it kind of seemed like a last minute like let's get this together. It doesn't need to be a high quality recording. It just needs to be a way to raise money and bring attention to this new Moonbase One space, and it's doing that. And so it's there's members of bands and then there's full bands. The Coffin Lids are in there. There's a whole bunch of cool bands on there, and it's good idea.
I
I
I
like it.
agree. Yeah.
Like back in the
Absolutely.
day, like Great Scott or whatever, when they used to do the Halloween sets, you know what I mean? A band would pick a full band to cover for a whole Halloween set. It was
Oh,
always,
we have a lot of JC and I have many Halloween
yeah,
cover show credentials.
it's kind of in that vein, and a fun way to keep bands and show who what influence is. Like as Sam just said, it's like our psychedelic furs, a Astral Bitch, you know, reference, or they have something, yes, in a way, but it's not so grungy or heavy like what we might sound like, but that just shows you who our influences are as a full span of it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know who the Lemonheads were until they had a cover of Mrs. Robinson. So I sort of see it as like it's a weird it's a weird way to get pulled into a universe.
It is like the Black
Yeah.
Crows are the same thing. Some people get noticed from a cover, some people don't. You know how it is. I think, did you work with the Black Crows when they were doing that?
I
Were
didn't
you
work
working
with
with
the no, but
them?
I know what you mean though. There's been a lot of covers over the years that have actually gotten the band's attention. I'm not
Yeah,
surprised that you said that about the Lemonheads, Mrs. Robinson, because they were more of a indie rock band, and that was their most mainstream
Yeah.
thing when it came out at the time. Um,
yeah.
just a couple more things. Do you find you having a connection with your fans right now, and is it hard to make connections? And how do you do that? Is it Bandcamp? Is it you have a website? How are you doing that
Yeah,
these
it's
days?
it's fragmented and platforms change every few years, it feels like. We're mostly Instagram at the moment, but I think we're now on Blue Sky as well. But I mean, I think it's funny that, there were a lot of people who are recently jumping from Instagram and Facebook over to Blue Sky because it's like, well, you guys didn't like Twitter when it wasn't run by Elon Musk. Why would you grasp on Blue Sky? It's like it's a feed. So yeah, I mean, I think we just kind of focus more on the music and then getting clever in how we want to promote it and with what channel. Um, Probably be doing an actual mailing list once we have more out of state shows going on. But yeah, I mean, it feels like everything is just vertical video these days and how people connect, sadly. And everybody's just trying to sort of stop the scroll and be starved for attention. But, you have to think about it like people kind of scrolling through your band and then like the latest horror stories out of Gaza and our government. It's very like, no wonder nobody can pay attention to anything anymore,
Yeah.
So we try and,
We do our best.
yeah. And I think it's also, we're part of the Boston music community and we're buds with lots of other musicians. And, we do all try to support each other anytime somebody releases something or has like a tour coming up. We try to help each other amplify each other's messages and all that. Just we all collectively want the scene to thrive together because I think if you're a musician in Boston right now, there's a big chip on your shoulder about people leaving the city and like, you're always having these existential things. They're like, why are we doing this? It's so hard to carry on and persevere. And venues getting shut down left and right, nobody even making money on anything but t-shirts anymore. We're in it because we love it and we believe the music and each other. And so, when you hear people like, okay, we're not gonna do TikTok anymore. We're not gonna do Instagram anymore. It's like, just go to shows and meet people, please. Like, just get out of your house and talk to people in person. I know it's so basic. But I'm usually a fixture at Deep Cuts and O'Brien's and Notch Brewing has lots of great local shows too for free even. You
Yeah.
know, that's the other thing. Like, there's less disposable income to go around right now just because of the state of things. And so, you know, I can't remember like the last $5 show I've played. It's been years. Like things are now like 15, 20 for a local show. And,
Ridiculous.
beers in Boston are like ridiculous. It's like what, $7 for a Gansett now, most places. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, really falling back into like, real life community more than just relying on the internet.
Bring
Is
back
the
the dollar.
Yeah.
is Bandcamp's probably the best place to hear your music for people out there listening, right?
Yeah, definitely Bandcamp. We're also on streaming platforms and stuff, but Bandcamp's always friendly to artists if you feel like supporting us directly and other bands you like.
I've bought a lot of songs for $1. No one seems to mind, so $1 per
Yeah.
song.
What's there for?
It seems like I always need a song, so I'll just go pay $1 for it.
Hell
Hey,
yeah.
thanks a lot, you guys. You guys have a really good attitude, and I love your last single's fantastic, and now this Psych Furs cover. So the best of luck to you guys in the future here. And you got
Thank you
Mike
so much.
Nash.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I wish I still had Mike Nash, but
Great.
thanks a lot, you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
All
Talk
right,
to you soon.
later.